Hello, my name is Nicole DeGennaro, and I'm here today to talk to you about Miss Delilah. So, Delilah was a dog that was at the Osceola County Animal Shelter. This is a shelter in a rural city in St. Cloud, Florida, a managed intake shelter. They used to be open access, however, over the last year or two, they recently changed into the managed intake. So, people must call, schedule an appointment prior to relinquishing a pet. They primarily take cats and dogs. They will sometimes have livestock, depending if there's a cruelty investigation going on. And they receive the majority of their dogs from owner surrenders, stray attainments, confiscations, and shelter transfers. On average, they have about 2,481 dogs and 3,230 cats a year, majority of them being adult dogs and cats. As far as dogs that are available for adoption, they must be dog friendly and people friendly. They will sometimes make an exception if they have a dog that with some work and behavioral modification could be adoptable, that dog would be placed up as rescue only. Their average length of stay is around 2 weeks. However, that can vary. For Delilah, she was in the shelter about 2.5 months total before she was rescued. When they're living in the shelter, they're in a single dog run with a conundrum bed, indoor-outdoor run with a guillotine door, occasional enrichment toys within the shelter. However, they most of the time do not have any toys or anything other than a bed, possibly a blanket, depending on the weather. And on average, they can house around 140 cats and dogs total. So, Miss Delilah is a 7-year-old female spayed American Staffordshire Terrier mix. When she came into the shelter, she was around 62.2 pounds. She is now up to about 75 pounds. She originally arrived as a stray, and since being there, quickly developed severe barrier reactivity. Once she is out of the kennel, she shows great body language, loose tail, soft eyes, wiggly body. She's great with strangers, staff, and other dogs. Overall, she was healthy, no sign of disease or injury. Once Delilah got into the shelter and got a bit settled, within the first about week or so, the staff noticed that she was starting to develop severe barrier reactivity. This would happen anytime someone would approach her kennel or pass by her kennel. Her entire body would stiffen, her tail would flag, she would lunge at the door, bark, and growl. For the most part, she was distance decreasing with the lunging, the charging the kennel, running and jumping up on the door, be it inside or outside. She was doing distance increasing with the barking and the growling, and displacement of her frustration with the flagged tail. Overall, her welfare assessment was fair. Her physical needs were being met with the walks, the play sessions. She was getting out multiple times a day. A moderate amount of enrichment was being done between the play groups and different training sessions. However, she was not meeting the 5 freedoms because she was not free of fear and distress when she was in that kennel, which majority of the time she was. Her problem lists include not being crate or kennel trained. She was placed in a foster home for a night. However, due to the barking and the howling, the foster brought her back. No aggression was noted within the house. She has severe barrier reactivity within the kennel. When anyone passes or approaches her kennel, she becomes extremely aggressive and vocal. And she does not do well with physical restraint. So during the veterinary exams, she was growling during the medical exam from being held down. Osceola does not do any formal assessments. They created their own assessment, which combines the bark and the safer. It does not have a pass-fail, as they feel like pass-fails heighten the chances of euthanasia for dogs. It's simply a way to collect data. So Delilah overall received great remarks on every area with the exception of the barrier reactivity when approaching or passing her kennel, in which she did not have the best remarks on due to her aggression. In the shelter environment, she does well with everything except for the kennel. when she is out of the kennel, and as soon as she sees a leash, she has a loose body, she's very happy, she approaches people great, she takes approaching of others or dogs really well. In the foster home, unfortunately, as mentioned, she did spend the entire night barking. However, no behavioral modification was done for that or trying to train her of that. A good way to assess this would be to do a daily video of passing her kennel. So in Osceola, they have one staff member that is assigned to each of their dogs with behavioral issues. So her assigned staff member could take daily videos of approaching and passing her kennel. That way they can track the progress. Overall, she was deemed as having moderate barrier reactivity and aggression towards any human when she was in her kennel. Whenever a person would walk up, passed by, she would incessantly run to the front or back of the kennel, jump on the door, growl, bark, flag her tail, and stiffen her body. This would happen when she was in the kennel inside as well as on the outside run. So anytime adopters would pass by, she would have the same reaction, making her deemed unadoptable to the public. Once she would see the leash from her handler, she would instantly calm down. She would put herself in a sit position and allow the handler to slip the lead on without any aggressive or barking behavior. Overall, for an environmental management of this barrier reactivity, a cover was able to be placed during the busiest time of the day over the front of her kennel. So she still had access to the back run of it. She was still able to see people, so this did not help with the reactivity towards potential adopters. However, on the inside, when it was super busy with the staff, she was able to have less stimulation. An experienced foster home or a rescue to pull her would be ideal to be able to get her out of the entire environment as she develops severe kennel stress being within the shelter system. A way to work on behavioral modification would be counter conditioning with the use of treats. So she would associate a positive outcome, be it getting a treat, from a person that was walking by. So you could start by just rewarding her every single time a person would walk by, and then you would start to reinforce just that calm, relaxed state. So then the people would walk by and reward her with the treat whenever she was calm or not being reactive. That would work more so on the inside when the staff could do that, so they would know what they're trying to reinforce. If it was up to the public to be able to toss in a treat, that would not be as safe, and they would not be able to be trained on the proper time to reward that behavior. Behavioral medication is something I cannot attest to as I am not a veterinarian. However, I would like to start with behavioral modification first. Delilah had a couple options. Staying in the shelter, she was quickly deteriorating and not doing very well with the treat options, so she would require either an experienced foster home that works for Osceola already, or to be transferred to another shelter that had more staff and resources. Unfortunately, there was one shelter that showed interest in being able to pull her. However, they were unable to do so. She could transfer to a rescue. However, there are limited rescues within this area that are able to assist, especially with older pit mixes or, unfortunately, euthanasia, which was looking like her option as the staff had already received the email stating that Delilah's time was running short. Since then, Delilah has made moderate progress with the treat buckets. However, she was not making as much that she needed to. So as I said, they did get that call. And luckily, we were able to pull her. So she is now officially a Happy Trails Animal Rescue pup. Since she's been in her foster home, no aggression has been noted. She's been there for about a month now. We've been taking crate's training very seriously, and she was able to actually have a really positive association with the crate within about 1 week, and that was doing it just giving her treats in there, allowing her to come and go as she pleases, feeding her in there and just creating a very positive space. We are now screening applications for her, and once we find the applicant, they will be provided with free training as much as needed, and we will be following up at 3 days, 3 weeks, and 3 months, and 6 months. Overall, we would need a experienced adopter that has experience with large aggressive breeds. Not that she is necessarily going to be aggressive in a new house, however, having that experience is definitely going to set her up for success. Always doing positive reinforcement, so we want to reinforce that calm, positive state. We want to continue that crate training, as well as creating positive association behind any gates or fences, because once she gets settled and established in her new home, that might be something that could possibly reappear. We don't want any positive punishment, so if it is noted that there's any body changes, body language changes, or vocalization, we do not want to respond to that in a physical or verbal correction, because that can only cause it to escalate. So we want to redirect when possible. We want to make sure that we continue crate training in a positive manner, so this is something that she continues to be comfortable with, and we want to have clear boundaries established in the new adopter's home. So then that way Delilah understands where she can and can't go, and making sure that she has a stress-free, as much as possible, environment where she is able to relax and live her life. So I am very excited that we were able to bring Delilah in, and I will keep you guys posted on when her forever home is found.